Ever dream of what real freedom feels like? The kind you only find on the open road, with nothing but a powerful engine and the horizon in front of you. That's the picture they sell you about the trucking life, and I bought every last bit of it. I thought I'd be the king of the highway, my own boss, with no one to answer to. Have you ever felt that pull? The truth, I learned, is that this freedom is an illusion. Stay with me here, because what you think you know about this life is about to change. That open road quickly becomes a prison on wheels, and you soon realize you have more bosses than you ever did before. I'm sure some of you watching know that feeling all too well, maybe not from behind the wheel of a truck, but from your own life. That slow sinking realization that the promise you were sold was just a story. If this is hitting home for you, do me a favor and let me know in the comments below. Tell me about a time you felt that way, a time you felt like just a number in someone else's system. Reading your stories, knowing I'm not alone in this, it means more than you know. And if what I'm saying makes sense, if you get it, hitting that like button is a powerful way to show it. It's a signal that these conversations matter. Your participation is honestly the fuel that keeps this channel going. Every like, every comment, it helps this story reach more people who might be stuck in that same lonely cab, thinking they're the only ones feeling this way. So if you believe these kinds of honest, unfiltered stories need to be told, I hope you'll consider subscribing and joining our community here. It really does make all the difference. Because that feeling of being just a number, well, it doesn't just weigh on your soul. It has a very real way of emptying your pockets, which brings me to the second hard truth that blindsided me completely. The brutal financial reality of being a modern American trucker. They lure you in with the promise of 6 figures. It's the big, shiny number they wave in front of your face. Earn over $100,000 a year, they say. Be your own boss, make real money. And when you're starting out, maybe working a job that barely pays the bills, that number sounds like a winning lottery ticket. It sounds like the kind of financial transformation that can change your family's future. I remember seeing those numbers and thinking, this is it. This is my path. This is the journey that will give me the life I've always wanted. The truth, however, is a far more complicated and expensive story. The number they show you is the gross revenue. It's a big, beautiful, misleading number. What they don't show you, what they conveniently leave out of the brochure, are the endless, soul-crushing expenses that come with being an owner-operator. It's a hidden truth that chips away at your profit until you're left wondering where all that money went. Let's break down the reality behind the scenes. First, there's the fuel. Diesel prices are a roller coaster you have no control over, and your truck drinks it like it's water. You can easily spend over $1,000 on a single fill-up, and you're doing that every couple of days. That 6-figure dream starts looking a little smaller right away. Then there's the maintenance, the silent killer of every trucker's budget. You're putting hundreds of thousands of miles on this machine. Things are going to break, and when they do, it's never cheap. A single blown tire on the I-80 in the middle of Wyoming can set you back $500, $600 easy. And that's a simple fix. What happens when your alternator goes out or your transmission starts slipping? Those aren't just repairs. They are financial emergencies that can wipe out a month's profit in a single afternoon. You're not just a driver. You're a fleet manager, a mechanic, and a financial planner all rolled into one. And you're learning on the job with your life savings on the line. And the expenses just keep coming. There's the astronomical cost of insurance, which you have to have. There are permits for every state, road taxes, tolls that eat into your earnings on every single trip. There's the monthly payment on the truck itself, a mortgage-sized payment that never sleeps, even when you're sick or waiting for a load. People see a truck that grosses $200,000 in a year and they are impressed. They see success. They see a self-made man. They have no idea about the hidden impact of the $150,000 it costs just to keep that truck on the road. The reality of my situation, after years of this grind, was this. I was working 80 hours a week, sacrificing my health, my family time, my entire life, only to find out that after all the bills were paid, I was taking home less than a manager at a fast food restaurant. That was a shocking revelation. It forced me to reconsider everything I thought I knew about success and what it truly meant to be building a better life. The mental toll of that financial pressure is immense. Every time you hear a strange noise from the engine, your heart sinks. Every time you see fuel prices jump at the pump, you feel a knot in your stomach. It changes your whole mentality from one of ambition to one of survival. You're not driving to get ahead anymore. You're just driving to keep your head above water. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because this constant stress, this relentless pressure to just break even, doesn't just affect your bank account. It has a profound and direct impact on the one thing you can't replace. It starts to take a toll on your own body. If you understand the difference between gross and net, write in the comments. The numbers don't lie. The constant financial pressure creates a dangerous mentality, a survival mode, where you start making decisions you normally wouldn't. You push a little harder, you sleep a little less, you cut corners. And the first corner that always gets cut is your own well-being. This is the third truth, and it's a deeply personal one. On the road, your own body becomes just another piece of cargo. It's the one you have to maintain, the one that has to perform, but it's the last one you ever pay attention to. The impact of this neglect is a slow, creeping transformation that you don't even notice until it's almost too late. It starts with the chair. That big, comfortable captain's chair becomes your world. You spend 11 hours a day locked in that seat, staring out the windshield. At first, it feels powerful, but after a few months, you start to feel the effects. It begins as a dull ache in your lower back at the end of a long day. Then it becomes a sharp pain that shoots down your leg. Your neck and shoulders are always tight, knotted with the stress of navigating traffic and watching for hazards. You find yourself groaning when you have to climb down from the cab, your knees popping in protest. The very machine that promises freedom becomes a prison for your body. And what do you fuel that body with? The behind-the-scenes reality of a trucker's diet is a revelation in itself. Your kitchen is the truck stop. Your menu consists of whatever is spinning on the roller grill, sweating under a heat lamp, or sealed in a plastic bag. Greasy hot dogs, slices of day-old pizza, bags of chips, and endless cups of coffee and high-sugar energy drinks to fight off the exhaustion. It's not that you want to eat this way. It's that you have to. You have 30 minutes to fuel up, use the restroom, and get back on the road because the clock is always ticking. There's no time to find a grocery store, no place to cook a healthy meal. So you make a decision born of necessity, a compromise that has a long-term, devastating impact. You eat what's fast and what's available, and your health pays the price. And then there's the sleep, or the lack of it. The LD forces you to take a 10-hour break, but it can't force you to rest. You try to sleep in a noisy, brightly lit truck stop with the sound of other trucks coming and going all night long. The vibration from a reefer unit parked next to you rattles your entire cab. You're always half awake, worried about someone trying to break into your truck or steal your fuel. You wake up more tired than when you went to bed, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that no amount of coffee can fix. This isn't rest, it's just logged downtime. This entire journey, this lifestyle, is an assault on your physical self. You cover thousands of miles, but your own body barely moves. You start to feel the change. At first, it's subtle. You notice you're a little heavier. Your clothes fit a bit tighter. You need that extra bit of effort to hoist yourself into the cab. Then one day, the truth hits you like a ton of bricks. For me, it was in a pilot bathroom somewhere in Ohio. I was washing my hands, and I looked up into the mirror under those harsh fluorescent lights. I didn't recognize the man looking back at me. His face was puffy, his eyes were tired and bloodshot, and he was carrying at least 30 pounds more than when he started this job. The spark was gone. I was just a tired, overweight, worn-out man. That was the hidden truth revealed in a cheap mirror. The job wasn't just taking my time, it was taking my health. It was physically breaking me down, turning my body into a casualty of the road. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when your body is isolated and breaking down, your mind isn't far behind. The physical confinement of that cab is nothing compared to the profound, crushing loneliness that sets in when you're 1,000 miles from everyone you love. If you believe your well-being matters more than any job, write in the comments, health comes first. You can prepare yourself for the long hours. You can even try to prepare for the financial strain and the physical toll. But nothing, absolutely nothing, can prepare you for the crushing weight of loneliness. This is the fourth truth, and for many, it's the one that breaks them. It's the emotional core of this entire journey, the hidden cost that you can't calculate on a spreadsheet. Trucking is sold as a solitary profession, a job for the independent spirit. But there is a massive difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness on the road is a different kind of animal. It's a constant, silent passenger that sits in the seat next to you, day after day, mile after mile. It's not just the absence of people, it's the absence of connection. You can be surrounded by hundreds of cars on the freeway. You can be at a busy truck stop and still feel like the only person on the planet. Your entire world shrinks to the size of your cab, and everything that truly matters in your life exists only as a voice on the phone or a face on a pixelated screen. This is the behind-the-scenes reality that eats away at your soul. You miss things. You miss the small moments that make up a life. You miss your son's baseball game. You miss Thanksgiving dinner. You miss the first time your baby crawls across the floor. You see these moments, these precious, irreplaceable memories, through the lens of a FaceTime call with a bad signal in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. The screen freezes, the audio cuts out, and you're left staring at a blurry image, a ghost of the life that is happening without you. The impact of this disconnection is profound. It changes you. You start to feel like a visitor in your own life. When you do get home for a couple of days, it feels strange. The rhythm of your family has moved on without you. The inside jokes, the daily routines, you're not a part of them anymore. You're trying to catch up on a story that's already halfway finished. A decision to take another load, to stay out on the road for one more week to make ends meet, becomes a series of 1,000 tiny heartbreaks. I'll never forget the phone call. My daughter was 7, and she had her first piano recital. I promised her, I swore to her, that I would be there. I had it all planned out. But then a high-priority load to California came up. A good-paying load, the kind you can't afford to turn down when the bills are piling up. The dispatcher said, "We need you for this one." And I made a decision. I chose the money over the moment. I can still hear the sound of my daughter's voice on the phone, trying to be brave, trying to understand, but the disappointment was so clear it felt like a physical blow. Hearing her cry because I broke my promise, that sound echoed in the silence of my cab for the next 2,000 miles. That is a different kind of loneliness. It's not just about missing someone. It's about knowing you are the cause of their sadness, all because of a job. It's a truth that forces a painful transformation in your mentality. You begin to question every choice, every mile, every dollar. You start to realize that while you're out here building a living, you might be losing a life. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because this feeling of isolation and disconnection doesn't just come from your family. It comes from the very world you are working so hard to serve. If you've ever missed a moment you can't get back, write in the comments. Family first. It's a strange kind of alienation when you feel disconnected not just from your family, but from the very people you work to support every single day. And this brings me to the fifth shocking truth of this journey, a paradox so profound it can completely reshape your mentality. The hidden truth is this: as a trucker, you are simultaneously the most essential and the most invisible person in the country. Think about it for a second. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything that makes our modern lives possible, arrives on a truck. The food in your grocery store, the lumber for new homes, the medicine in your pharmacy, the gasoline for your car, the presents under the Christmas tree, all of it. It was all on my truck, or a truck just like mine, at some point. We are the circulatory system of the economy, the lifeblood that keeps the heart of the nation beating. In theory, that should make you feel proud, important, and seen. But the behind-the-scenes reality of life on the asphalt is the complete opposite. Out there on the interstate, you are invisible. You cease to be a person. You are simply a massive, slow-moving obstacle. The disrespect is a constant, unending barrage. You watch a small car with a family inside it zip in front of your grill with maybe 10 feet of space, forcing you to tap the brakes. They have no concept, no idea that it takes you the length of a football field to come to a complete stop. They don't see the human being behind the wheel, the person with a family of their own, whose heart just skipped a beat because of their reckless decision. They just see a truck that's in their way, slowing them down by 5 miles per hour. You are cut off, tailgated, and given angry gestures for simply existing in their lane, for doing your job. This constant wave of disrespect has a huge impact. It's a form of psychological warfare that grinds you down mile after mile. It's a revelation that the very people you're serving see you as nothing more than a nuisance. This invisibility is your daily reality. Until it's not. The transformation happens in an instant. All it takes is a single mechanical failure. A blown tire on the I-5 outside of Los Angeles during rush hour. A sudden engine problem that forces you to the shoulder of a busy bridge. In that moment, you become hypervisible. And you don't become a person in need of help. You become the villain. You become the one single reason that thousands of people are going to be late for dinner. The angry glares, the horns blaring, the people yelling out their windows as they crawl past you. It's an incredible display of hostility. They don't see a professional trying to manage a dangerous situation safely. They don't see a man whose heart is pounding, worried about getting hit while he puts out his safety triangles. They just see the source of their personal inconvenience. The irony is staggering. I was hauling the food they would put on their tables that night, the clothes their kids wore, the parts that kept their businesses running. But on the road, in that moment of crisis, I was just an 18-wheel obstacle in their way. This truth was a difficult one to accept. It was a journey into understanding that the essential work I was doing was completely divorced from any sense of respect or appreciation from the public I was serving. You are a ghost until you're a monster. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when people see you not as a person, but as an obstacle, it creates an environment where a different, more immediate kind of danger can thrive. If you've ever felt underappreciated for the hard work you do, write in the comments. Respect the grind. When you exist in a world where you're seen as an object rather than a person, a very real and physical danger begins to emerge. This leads me to the sixth truth, a side of this journey that is rarely discussed in polite company or in any training manual. Everyone talks about the obvious dangers of trucking, the risk of accidents, the importance of defensive driving. They train you for that. They show you videos of jackknifed rigs and talk about blind spots until you can recite them in your sleep. But there is another kind of danger out there, a more predatory and personal threat that has a profound impact on your mentality and your sense of security. It's the hidden truth of what happens when the engine is off and you're trying to get some rest. They don't prepare you for the darkness. They don't prepare you for the human element. The behind-the-scenes reality is that rest stops and remote pull-offs, the very places you are forced to stop by law, can be some of the most dangerous places in the country. These are often poorly lit, isolated areas, miles from the nearest town. They become magnets for desperation and crime. You are sitting in a multi-thousand-dollar machine, often hauling a cargo worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. You are a target. Every trucker has stories. Stories of so-called lot lizards, prostitutes who brazenly knock on your door at all hours of the night. Stories of people trying to siphon diesel from your tanks while you sleep. A crime that can cost you hundreds of dollars and leave you stranded. There are stories of thieves, known as jumpers, who will try to break into your trailer at a stoplight to steal whatever they can grab. This threat forces a complete transformation in how you live. You learn to sleep with one eye open. Every little sound outside your cab puts you on high alert. Is it just the wind? Or is it someone tampering with your fifth wheel? Is that a shadow moving near your fuel tanks? Or is it just a trick of the light you wedge a steel bar against your door just for an extra layer of security? This isn't paranoia. It's a necessary survival tactic. The decision of where to park for the night becomes one of the most critical choices you make all day. A calculated risk based on lighting, how many other trucks are around, and your own gut feeling. This constant, low-grade fear wears you down. But the danger isn't just from other people. It's from Mother Nature herself. The pressure to make a delivery on time often means pushing into conditions you know are unsafe. I've been caught in a surprise blizzard climbing a mountain pass in Colorado. The snow coming down so fast I couldn't see my own hood. The road becomes a sheet of ice, and you're fighting to control 80,000 pounds of steel, praying you don't lose traction and slide off a cliff. I've driven through tornado warnings in Oklahoma, watching the sky turn a sickening shade of green, my only thought being that there is absolutely nowhere to hide in a giant metal box. The stress is incredible. These aren't just weather events. They are life or death situations, and you are facing them completely alone. No training course can ever replicate the feeling of your trailer starting to slide on black ice. This revelation that your personal safety is constantly at risk from both criminal intent and the raw power of nature changes your risk tolerance. It changes your perception of the job from a simple delivery service to a high-stakes gamble you take every single day. Everyone warns you about the danger of a crash, but nobody prepares you for the sound of a sharp knock on your driver's side door at 2 a.m. in a dark, empty rest area 100 miles from anywhere. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because often the most immediate danger isn't lurking in the darkness outside, but is coming through the speakers right there in your cab. If you've ever had to push through a situation you knew was unsafe, write in the comments. Safety is not a suggestion. That sharp knock on your door in the middle of the night is terrifying, but it's a threat you can see. The more insidious danger, the one that forces you into making impossible decisions, often comes from a person you've never met. This brings me to the seventh truth, a behind-the-scenes conflict that defines the daily life of a trucker. It's the relentless, soul-crushing pressure from your dispatcher. Now, it's important to understand, dispatchers aren't necessarily evil villains from a movie. They are usually just regular people sitting in a cubicle, staring at a computer screen, under their own immense pressure from the company and the clients. They have one job and one job only: to make sure the load gets from point A to point B on schedule. Your personal safety, the weather conditions, the traffic, those are all just inconvenient variables in their logistical equation. Their job is to push, and your job is to drive. This fundamental conflict of interest creates a constant source of stress and can lead to some truly dangerous situations. Their favorite phrase, the one that every trucker has heard 1,000 times, is "make it happen." It sounds like a motivational slogan, but it's not. It's a command. It's code for, "I don't care how you do it, just get it done." It's a subtle way of pushing you to bend the rules, to drive a little longer than you're legally allowed, to push. Through bad weather, you know you should be stopping for. The impact this has on your mentality is huge. It forces a transformation from a cautious professional into a risk taker, because you know that refusing a load or stopping for safety reasons could mean they give the next good-paying run to someone else. It puts you in a position where you're constantly weighing your safety against your livelihood. I remember one specific journey that perfectly illustrates this hidden truth. I was in Nebraska, heading east. A massive ice storm was moving across Iowa, the state I had to cross. The weather alerts were clear, advising against all travel. I called my dispatcher. I told him, "It's bad out here. The roads are turning to glass. I need to shut down for the night." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then he said, "I hear you, but the client in Chicago needs this shipment for their production line first thing in the morning. If this load isn't there, their entire factory shuts down. We can't let that happen. Just take it slow, you can make it." In that moment, he wasn't my partner. He was my adversary. He was asking me to risk my life and the lives of everyone else on the road for a client's production schedule. He was telling me to make it happen. The pressure was immense. If I said no, I'd be labeled as difficult, unreliable. I might be punished with cheaper, less desirable loads in the future. If I said yes, I'd be driving an 80,000-pound sled on a sheet of ice. This is the impossible decision truckers face all the time. It's a revelation that the system is not designed for your safety. It's designed for efficiency. It is a constant battle between your professional judgment and the demands of the business. You are the one out there, alone in the storm, who has to make the final call. And you know deep down that if something goes wrong, if you end up in a ditch or cause a pileup, the company will say you made a poor choice as the driver. The responsibility will be entirely on you. You eventually reach a point in this journey where you realize you are in a no-win situation, caught between your own survival and your job security. That is a choice no one should ever have to make. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because this constant pressure, this feeling of being trapped between a rock and a hard place, creates a psychological cycle that is incredibly difficult to escape. If you've ever been pressured to compromise your safety for a deadline, write in the comments, "My safety, my choice." When you're constantly forced to choose between your safety and your paycheck, it creates a powerful and destructive mindset. This leads me to the eighth truth, a psychological trap that keeps so many good people stuck in a life that is actively harming them. I call it the next check syndrome. It's a condition born from the very structure of the trucking business, and it is one of the most difficult parts of this journey to overcome. The behind-the-scenes reality is that you are always chasing money. You're not working to get rich. You're working to stay afloat. There's always another bill on the horizon. The massive truck payment is due on the 1st of the month. The insurance premium is due on the 15th. You just spent $2,000 on new tires, and now you have to make that money back. You are perpetually living in a state of financial catch-up. This creates a relentless cycle. You finish one long, grueling trip, and instead of feeling a sense of accomplishment, all you feel is the pressure to find the next one. There is no time to rest, no time to decompress, because the expenses never stop. This has a profound impact on your ability to make rational decisions about your future. You might be sitting in your cab, feeling sick, exhausted, lonely, and thinking, I have to get out of this. This is killing me. But then you look at your bank account. You think about the bills. And the only logical thought you can form is, I just need one more good run. Just one more trip to get ahead. And then I can take a break. And I can think about making a change. But the next trip is never the last one. It's a mirage in the desert. You complete that run, and by the time you get paid, another unexpected expense has popped up. A fuel pump fails. A family emergency requires you to fly home. Suddenly, you're right back where you started, needing that next check just as badly as you needed the last one. It's like financial quicksand. The more you struggle to get out, the deeper you sink into debt and obligation. It's a brilliantly designed trap. The high cost of entry, with the truck loan and insurance, puts you in a hole from day one. And the unpredictable nature of the expenses ensures that you can never quite climb out of that hole. This syndrome causes a major transformation in your perception of time. You stop thinking in terms of weeks or months. You start thinking in terms of loads. Your life becomes a series of trips, each one a desperate attempt to create a little bit of breathing room that never seems to materialize. The dream of freedom and financial independence, the very reason you started this journey, is replaced by the grim reality of just trying to survive until the next payday. This is a hidden truth that many people on the outside don't understand. They see a trucker on the road and think he must be doing well for himself. They don't see the crushing weight of the debt he's carrying. They don't see the psychological toll of constantly being one breakdown away from financial ruin. It's a revelation that you can be working 80 hours a week, generating thousands of dollars in revenue, and still be teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. You are trapped not by chains, but by spreadsheets. You are a prisoner of your own balance sheet. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when your entire life revolves around the next check and the next trip, something else begins to erode, something far more fundamental than your bank account. You start to lose yourself. If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle you couldn't escape, write in the comments, just one more trip. When your every waking moment is consumed by the relentless cycle of the next trip and the next check, a strange and subtle transformation begins to take place. This brings me to the ninth truth, and in many ways, it's the most tragic. It's not about money or danger or loneliness in the traditional sense. It's about the slow, silent erosion of your own identity. The hidden truth of this journey is that the job doesn't just take your time. It takes over your life until there is nothing else left. You don't just become a trucker. Trucking becomes you. It's a total consumption of self. Before I started driving, I was a person with hobbies and interests. I loved fishing on the weekends. I was a decent guitar player. I enjoyed coaching my son's little league team. I had friends I would meet up with to watch the game. I was a husband, a father, a neighbor, a friend. But as the miles piled up, those other parts of me began to fade away. They became casualties of the road dot. The behind-the-scenes reality of this lifestyle is that there is no room for anything else. When you are home for your short 34-hour reset, you are too exhausted to do much of anything. You don't have the energy to go fishing or pick up a guitar. You just want to sit on the couch and try to feel human again. Your conversations start to change. When you talk to your wife, you find yourself talking about freight rates and the price of diesel. When you talk to your friends, you tell stories about the road, about a crazy driver in Atlanta, or a beautiful sunset you saw in Montana. At first, they are interested, but after a while, You can see their eyes glaze over. They can't relate. Your world has become so specific, so all-consuming, that you have forgotten how to talk about anything else. You are no longer participating. In their world, you are just reporting back from yours. The impact of this is a profound sense of isolation, even when you're surrounded by the people you love. You have become a specialist in a world they don't understand. The most devastating revelation for me came during a rare weekend at home. My son, who was about 10 at the time, came up to me while I was sitting on the porch. He looked at me with those honest, innocent eyes and asked a simple question. "Dad," he said, "what do you like to do for fun?" I opened my mouth to answer, and nothing came out. I was completely stumped. My mind went blank. What did I do for fun? I thought about it, really thought about it, and the only answer I could come up with was, I drive. That was it. That's all that was left of me. All my hobbies, my passions, my interests, they had all been sacrificed at the altar of the highway. I wasn't a man who drove a truck anymore. I was a trucker who used to be a man. The person I was before I got behind the wheel was gone, replaced by this exhausted, one-dimensional version of myself. The weight of that realization was crushing. It was a moment of absolute clarity, a shocking glimpse into how much of myself I had given up. This journey, which I had started to build a better life for my family, had hollowed me out from the inside. It had taken my identity. It was a decision I had made piece by piece without even realizing it. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when you've lost your freedom, your health, your connection to your family, and even your sense of self, you eventually arrive at a single unavoidable moment of truth. If you've ever felt like your job has taken over your life, write in the comments, "More than my job." You can endure an incredible amount of hardship when you believe it's for a greater purpose. You can justify the loneliness, the financial stress, the physical toll, the loss of your own identity, as long as you can tell yourself it's all part of the journey towards a better life. But for every person, there is a breaking point. A single moment where the cost becomes too high, where the justifications fall apart, and you are left with a single, undeniable truth. This brings me to the 10th and final reason I walked away from it all. It wasn't a gradual decision. It was a sudden, seismic shift, a moment of impact that changed my life forever. It was my point of no return. For some guys, it's a major health scare, a heart attack alone in their cab, 1,000 miles from a decent hospital. For others, it's missing the funeral of a parent because they couldn't get home in time. For me, it happened on a Tuesday afternoon on the I-10, somewhere in the vast, empty expanse of West Texas. The sun was setting, painting the sky in those incredible shades of orange and purple that you only see in the desert. It was beautiful and peaceful. I was on a long haul, another routine trip, lost in the monotonous rhythm of the road, and then my phone rang. The name on the screen made my heart stop. It was the local hospital back home. In that split second, my entire world narrowed to that ringing phone. I pulled over onto the shoulder, my hands shaking so badly I could barely answer it. It was a nurse. She was calm, professional. She told me my wife had been in a car accident. She was quick to say it wasn't life-threatening, that she was banged up but was going to be okay. But the words didn't matter. All I heard was your wife, an accident, and hospital, and I was 1,200 miles away. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, a helpless spectator to the most important crisis in my life. The behind-the-scenes reality of my profession was laid bare in that single brutal moment. I had built a life where I was physically incapable of being there for the person I loved most. When she needed me in that moment, sitting on the side of a Texas highway with the engine rumbling, all the other truths came crashing down on me at once. The illusion of freedom, the lie of the 6-figure salary, The physical pain, the constant loneliness, the disrespect on the road, the danger, the pressure, the financial trap, the man I no longer recognized in the mirror. It all coalesced into one profound revelation. None of it was worth it. Not a single dollar, not a single mile. All the money I had ever made, or could ever hope to make, was worthless if I couldn't be there. The decision was instantaneous. It wasn't even a choice. It was a certainty. I told the nurse I was on my way. I put the truck in gear and I drove. I drove all through the night, fueled by a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I got my load to its destination, and then I drove the empty rig straight back to the company yard. I didn't clean it out. I didn't fill out the paperwork. I walked into the office, put the keys on the dispatcher's desk, and said, "I'm done." And then I walked out the door. As I walked across that gravel lot, away from the truck that had been my entire world, I didn't feel sadness or regret. For the first time in a decade, I felt light. I felt free, truly free. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because walking away was not the end of my journey. In reality, it was the beginning dot, if you know what matters most in your life. Write in the comments, "I know my why." That walk across the gravel lot was the hardest and most important trip of my entire life. It was the journey back home, not just to my family, but back to myself. Giving up that life wasn't a failure. It was the ultimate success. It was choosing what truly mattered over the dream they tried to sell you. And I share this story, all 10, of these hard truths, not to discourage anyone, but to be honest about the real cost. It's for anyone out there who feels trapped, who feels like they're losing themselves to a job, whatever that job may be. If you've made it this far into the video with me, it tells me this story resonated with you on some level. It means a lot that you stayed for the whole journey. If you could, let me know you made it to the end by writing, "I was on that final drive," in the comments below. Reading those lets me know these stories are connecting with people. If you felt that connection too, a simple like on the video is the best way to show it. And if you believe, like I do, that honest stories have the power to make us all feel a little less alone in our struggles, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing more stories just like this one, about the real-life decisions that define us. The journey doesn't end here. In fact, what happens after you make a life-changing decision is a story all on its own. There's a video right here on the screen that picks up on that very idea. It's about what comes next. Go ahead and click on it, and let's continue the conversation.